What is happening, everybody? It is February 26th when I'm recording this. Well, I guess it'd be February 25th, February 26th when you're seeing it. But anyway, we're going to record now, and yeah, we're going to go with it, and we're going to get ready to go. We will be ready to go here in about 15 minutes or so. We're still waiting on 2 people, so get in the lobby. So, yeah. I'm going to do the countdown, and obviously it's going to be a little bit longer than 30 seconds. I'm just going to keep it going, though. So if y'all are new here, make sure y'all smash the like button. And, yeah, see you when we're ready to go. We just need one for the bigger board. Here, I'm gonna hide this. Actually, I'll just stick myself here and put need one for the bigger board. We only need one more person for the bigger board to fill for this contest. $100 contest to enter. So yeah, looking to get active. Just need one more person. Hopefully we can get one person here in the next few minutes here, but yeah, we'll see. How is everyone doing on this Thursday afternoon? Hopefully everybody's doing well. I am currently checking something real quickly here on the side. Give me just a second. Okay. All right. Hope everybody's doing well today. Hopefully we can get this draft started here pretty soon in the next few minutes. Still waiting on one person. So one person, could be you, to join this contest with us. Make sure y'all get in. We'll see what happens here. Combine this weekend should be pretty good, I would think. I'm excited to see some of the guys coming out this weekend. Hopefully we get some good combine showings, because I know previously there's been some guys that I've been kind of high on that didn't have great combines and didn't really have great years last year. So we'll see what happens. A couple years ago, I was real high on Xavier Worthy, and he performed in the combine, and obviously he hasn't been that good. I thought Keon Coleman would fit perfectly with the Bills. I didn't think he was all that talented, but I thought maybe, they could train him up and make him look good, and that fell on my face. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens here, but long story short, like I said, we'll just have to see what happens with these rookies that come to the combine this weekend. I haven't heard anything about Nick Singleton, though. Is he going to actually show up to the combine and do something? Or is he just kind of there to be there? Because last I knew, he had a broken foot. So I don't know if he's even going to be doing the combine. We'll see. But it is what it is. Let me get my comments pulled up here. If you guys haven't used StreamYard before, this is just what it looks like on screen. So just like to show that real quick. If you do type in the chat while I'm drafting, I will be able to see it and pull your comments up on stream and be able to answer any questions you guys have of who I like and who I don't. So yeah, I mean, I guess more recent news we could talk about. One of my guys of the year, Rashee Rice. Don't know how to feel about him at the moment, and I don't think anybody really knows firmly how to feel. So that's a little bit rough in that regard. I think there's a lot of doubt in the air, which rightfully so. I think that there's a lot going on with him that needs to be looked at. So I think you need to take him with a grain of salt when it comes to these. I'm probably not touching him, but just because he is still going in the third round in these, I don't really love that price at this point for me to take that kind of a risk. I think he's going to have to go in the fourth or fifth round for me to start taking that risk again, like I did last year. Did the risk last year worked? Objectively speaking, no. But, rookie year, Rashee Rice, that panned out. So one of my guys that I have, and unfortunately, it's not about the talent with him. It's more so about his off-field antics and just trying to stay on the field more so. But yeah, we need one more person still for the bigger board. Hopefully we can get that one person. I'm kind of going in my Discords right now and typing +1 as we speak. So we need one more person, just one more. That's it. And then we can get this show on the road. This is the first bigger board I've gotten to stream for you guys. I know I put a title on the last live stream for the bigger board. I didn't get to. I just did a big board, a regular big board. But exposure wise, I haven't really done a whole lot of drafting. I've done about 40 so far. Haven't really done a whole lot. I'll show you guys my exposures real quick. Let me full screen this, and we'll take the banner off real quick. So as you can see, we have Rashad Bateman, Devon Vele. I think you can get these guys really cheap. I'm trying to start not clicking them as much because I think that last round click needs to be divvied up a lot more. So I'm going to try to not click them as much. It's hard not to, though. Kelsey at his current price, I think is insanely cheap. Even if he produces top 10 as a tight end this year, if he does this again, he is up there already. His ADP will rise, and it's already rising as it stands. So Travis Kelsey, I had a hard time not clicking early on here. Jacoby Myers and Brian Thomas, I really like the Jags offense this year, and that kind of shows in my quarterback exposures too. I think, I even took Travis Hunter quite a bit. I think that offense overall is going to thrive. I think they have a lot of weapons, and I just think they're a very legit offense. And of course, we drop down to needing 2 people now for the bigger board. I swear if this doesn't start, I'm going to get so salty because I really want to give you guys one draft of this. And yeah. I really am hoping that I can get at least one of these in on stream. And it's really annoying because, I said I wasn't going to boot up again unless it was full. But, I mean, if you only need one person, it's like you kind of have to boot up, I feel like, at that point. So hopefully we can get 2 more people. That's kind of annoying that somebody left. I was really hoping we would be getting into a draft here pretty quickly. Once I put them in the Discords, but that did not happen. That is not coming to fruition right now. Unfortunately, we still need 2. So that's what sucks. But it is what it is. There's only so much you can do sometimes. What happened here? Cancel, save. There we go. We'll put it back up there. But anywho, long story short, I just, I didn't want to come on here and ramble a bunch. Like I said, I thought we were for sure going to get started when it said 1 person, and I typed in Discords and yada, 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 but looks like we need 2 more people again. So unfortunate news for us. We're still waiting on 2. This might take a little while. In the meantime, I guess I could, 1 second, I could go ahead and do a $10 big board, I guess, in the meantime. My hair is getting so long, guys. I have not left the house in like 3 weeks. I'm recovering from COVID. So, yeah, I don't feel the greatest. I've been coughing quite a bit. I just took my medicine, so I should be good as far as coughing goes for now. But like I said, I've been recovering from COVID. Oh, we need 1 more again. I don't want to start this draft and then, have this 1 person fill. So we need 1 person, man. Like just 1 person. If you're in the audience and you want to, come on in and draft. This is I'm not so sure I'd call it a good first draft because it is, high entry point, but it is a very cheap entry. Well, let me rephrase that. It's a very low entry level point. There's only 3,000 people, 2,000 people in the contest, 2,200 people in the contest, 4 out of 12 advance. So 4 out of 12, you get your money back. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you can get 4 out, if you can advance in top 4, should be able to get there. Still waiting on 1 person, just 1. It only takes 1 more person to get this stream going. Truly, I don't want to get into a big board and then this start. So that's kind of why I'm trying to hold off, if I can. So let me change this back to 1. Save, and then put it up there. Need 1 person. Need 1 more person. I'll put myself right here. 1 more person, man. Just 1 more, and then we're good to go. Just take 1 step at a time. I really didn't want to come on here and yak, but it sounds like I'm going to be on here yakking for like a few more minutes here. Let's see here. Let's go through and talk about some guys here that I kind of like at their price currently. and guys I don't really like at their price currently. I think Genty's an interesting guy at his price. I would prefer to take Brock Bowers at his current price. I think pick 20 is a really good value for Brock. I think there's a good chance he finishes tied in one. Last season was a rough year. I think everybody's aware of that. Injuries and, just the Raiders being bad in general, I think kind of hurt Brock Bowers. I think everybody knows this. I'm going to move my mic a little closer here. But I think Brock Bowers has a really good chance to outperform Trey McBride this year. Trey McBride, we saw a huge uptick in touchdowns this past season. That's good news as far as Trey McBride's value goes. I think, there's a good chance that Trey McBride can repeat that same production. It's just, I'm not sure. I don't feel like of the two of these, I think Brock Bowers can also get to that production level the same, but he's cheaper. So I like Brock Bowers a little bit more. I've done drafts where at the turn I take McBride and Bowers just to gain positional advantage at the flex and the tight end positions. I don't know that it's a great strategy. I don't think it's a great strategy, but it is unique and it is something that, not a lot of people are going to have. Last year, you could do it pretty easily with Bowers and McBride. I think relatively easily because McBride was a 2-3 turn and Bowers was a first-round pick. So you could kind of maybe pull it out and do it a little bit more often last year. This year, not so much. And not a lot of people wanted to do it last year because they had the same bye weeks. So I think there's a case to be made to where the ADPs could line up eventually to where it's really difficult to get it. I don't think it's that difficult if you pull McBride up. Because if you pull McBride up over Jefferson or Hampton, I'm not going to fault you for it. Or even Genty. I'm not going to fault you for it. But that's kind of where I'm at. Pulling Bowers up is a little bit tougher to say that it's a good idea. But see, it's like I said, it's a uniqueness lever I'm willing to pull. It's something different. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it is something that I like to do somewhat, but I haven't done it a lot. So they're kind of fun builds though when you do it that way. Guy I think that's extremely overpriced is Bashal Tootin. We got the lobby. Finally, I can quit. Oh, and I get a 101. Okay, finally, I can start drafting. Okay. So in the lobby, we have Ginger Mino. I have no idea who that is. Iron City Pounders, Viz 77, Sneak, SG. I don't know who that is. Go Tuna, Sleep. I don't know who any of these guys are. So this should be interesting. I can hide that now, that banner. Let me hide that. Okay. And we should be good to go. So I'm going to put myself back down over here. Actually, I'll put myself up here because I think it's better to put myself up there. So yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we're going to get this draft underway here in about 20 seconds or so. Before this draft gets underway, I'm going to take a little bit of a drink here and check something else over here real quick. Okay. Yeah, I think we're all set. So I'm going to it's going to get a little darker. And we are up on the clock, 101. There's no doubt about it in my mind who the 101 is right now. It is Bijan Robinson. I think there really should not be much of a debate of who the 101 is, but you never know. Some people might debate, some people won't. It is what it is. All right, so I'm going to show the board as much as I can here. Finally, draft started. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase off the board. Jamar Chase over Puka. That's something I don't see very often in these lobbies, but I do like it. I think Jamar's still the 101 for me. As far as receivers go, he is the receiver one in my rankings. So that's where I have Jamar. I think it's without a doubt in my mind, honestly, the best pick on the board there after Bijan. I would take Chase over Gibbs personally. McCaffrey at the 105 over JSN. That's certainly interesting. I mean, I get it. You can make the case, if you look past the health of McCaffrey, one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent running back over the past decade that we have seen. So, when he's on the field, the guy is astoundingly good. When he's not on the field, though, it's it's a disaster to say the least. I get McCaffrey a lot, you know. I've gotten him at the 108, 109, more so than the 105. But I can understand taking this kind of a risk. I really can, because the running backs after, really, honestly, Dewan Achane, in my opinion, maybe Genty, they fall off a little bit, and it feels like you're reaching at that point. So I get it. Getting the stud early, I totally understand it. Jonathan Taylor at the 109. Definitely see. Honestly, that's where I have Jonathan Taylor. I have him a little lower than this, actually. I'm not a big Jonathan Taylor guy. I don't like him much at all going into next year. I anticipate Daniel Jones getting re-signed. Obviously, it's a great situation. I see a Saquon kind of fall off coming. You know, I don't really see the production being there like it was this year again. So that's kind of where I'm at with Jonathan Taylor. Not really taking him a whole lot at that price. I liked him last season just because you could get him at the 2-3 turn. This year, not so much. So it's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm not a huge fan. We do need to put the time this draft started. I'm going to put it at about 20 minutes, give or take. So I'm going to put that in the description now. So if people want to hop, you know, they can hop. They can do whatever the heck they please. So let me refresh here real quick. I'm going to put it in the description. Draft 120. There we go. Okay. Save. All right. I'm just going to start it there. So, all right. Trey McBride goes off the board to pick 16. Sorry, it was not showing the board. I need to show the board. Saquon Barkley, Ashton Genty, interesting. Amarian Hampton, Justin Jefferson, James Cook, Dewan Achane. I like the James Cook, Dewan Achane start. I really like that start. Good luck. What's up, stars? How we doing? Hope all is well with you, brother. Finally got one of these to start. It took a lot of grit to get one to go, but finally we got one for stream. So took long enough, but we're finally here. So, you know, it is what it is. So far, nothing too crazy out of the ordinary in these rooms. But we'll see. I don't really recognize any of these names, though, stars. Do you recognize any of these names by chance? Neighbors at pick 21 and Puka Nacua. That's a star-studded 2 right there. If you can get somebody on the flip at running back, I think you're golden. I truly do. I think you're golden. All right, so Chase Brown goes off the board. I'm going to do something a little unconventional, I think, here. And I don't really love any of these guys at receiver. I just don't. I'm going to go Jacobs, and I'm also going to go Ken Walker, I think. Or do we want to go Bucky? I think we're going to go Ken Walker. Yeah, I think we're going to go Ken Walker. A little bit unconventional. I'm not super into Nico next year. I'm not super into Pickens next year. I'm not super into Olave. I can see a case for Olave, but the rest of these guys, the running backs, I feel like they go so soon that I'm willing to just gamble on the fact that I want to get my RB points early and just fill receivers back endly here, so to speak. I don't know how to really else word that, but you know, it is what it is. See, I like this start. Puka, Neighbors, Nico. Nico as a receiver 3 is really nice. That's a pretty solid start, I would say. The sneak has McCaffrey, Henry, and Olave. I don't love having McCaffrey, Henry, but I understand it. Olave, like I said, he's one of the few guys I would take at the turn, typically. But I really like Josh Jacobs. I really like Kenneth Walker. I really like Bijan Robinson. So starting those 3 at running backs, really, really good. Not familiar with anybody in your draft. Yeah, I'm not either. I can't say I have ever seen any of these guys' names before. Usually in these bigger contests like this, I at least know 1 or 2 people. But no, I'm very unfamiliar with any of these people. Rashee Rice at pick 33. I'm really surprised Rashee Rice is still this priced heavy. This heavily priced, so to speak. I just personally am just off of the Rashee Rice stuff until we get a conclusion, especially this early on. I don't really know what to think about Rashee. I do think, if they say no suspension, you're getting him at a huge discount here. But I just don't really feel like that's a likely outcome. So for me personally, I'm kind of off of that. And here's my dilemma, right? Like Sleepy Steven or Steve or whatever his name is. I don't love this start. He has no running back. I like Bowers, but I don't really love the start with Tet and Amon-Ra. And having no RBs to truly aid it. If he gets Etienne to fall to him, I like it a lot more, but I don't know that Etienne's going to fall past this guy here. So, it's a struggle. We'll see, but I would take Etienne. Yep. And now this guy has to sit here and you wonder who his running back one's going to be, because it's got to be like a Judkins or something like that. And I don't love that, especially when you see a guy's room like mine or McCaffrey, Henry, Gibbs, Brown, Genty, Barkley, Javonte. Like there's a lot of good, RB rooms here that keep up with Amon-Ra pretty easily, I would say, every week. Teteroa McMillan, he has upside, don't get me wrong. I just think he's a little bit overpriced. I do think he's a great receiver. I think I played Dynasty a lot, so I think he's a great Dynasty asset as well. I just don't believe he's that good, for my personal take. So I will say Kenneth Walker, though, going back to that pick, him not getting franchise tagged is extremely interesting to me, because if they decide not to bring Kenneth Walker back, does Kenneth Walker go to a place where he gets a full workload? And I think that answer is yes. And if he does go to a place like that, who are his options? At this point, I am going to load up on running back, I think, and I'm going to go Travion because he fell. I know it's not very smart to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm definitely going to take a receiver here. I want to take Lamar, but I'm not going to do it. We're probably going to go Waddle over Burden. I think he's a little bit better, a little bit more trustworthy. I like Waddle a little bit in this situation. I think my running backs are done for the most part. I don't know that I'm going to have to look at them for a long time now. So I think we can quit looking at them at the very least. Like Waddle to me is one of those guys that he's going to be in a one this year. Obviously, health is something that you have to worry about a little bit with him. We see Burrow go a little bit early. Burrow, Jamar, and he has Josh Allen. So quarterback position for him is pretty much done, I'd say, at this point. But back to what I was kind of saying, Jalen Waddle to me is one of those guys I feel like, is a one that could get up here, like in this range, put up, we've seen him put up 1,000-yard seasons before. Obviously that was with Tua. We've seen it before to where Waddle can get that kind of production. Even this past season, 910 yards, 6 touchdowns. I don't like to be a box score watcher, but by all means, I think I like to get a guy who's done it before, rather than a guy who hasn't done it before, like a rookie. I'm hoping that, pick 72 rolls around. I don't think Sutton's going to be there on the board when 72 rolls around. I hope he is, but, for my sake, but I don't think he's going to be. I think pick 72 is probably going to end up being a quarterback like Hurts or something. Somebody along that line. And honestly, dude, like the running back position, my running back position's pretty well full at this point. Like I'm very overloaded there. I don't need to take any more until maybe the last round or last couple of rounds. So I really like the 4 RBs I got. Travion's great. Ken Walker's great. Josh Jacobs is great. Bijan is my 101 this year. So I really like the start so far. Like I said, I'm hoping Cortland Sutton falls to me. Probably won't. But if he does, great. If not, well, you tried. It is what it is. And maybe Cortland Sutton would have been a better pick at 49. I don't know. But I value Cortland Sutton ahead of most of these guys. The only other guy I would have taken is Brian Thomas. I don't see either one of these guys falling to me. But if they do, great. I just don't think they're going to, though, unfortunately. But on the bright side of things, you should have a running back one every week, maybe two of them every week, and a good flex every week. So, am I out on Christian Watson? I'm not totally out. I just think he's a little pricey for what I think he should be. I think he's a little bit too expensive for my liking. I'm not a big fan of Jordan Love either. I know there's in the Discord, that's probably not a common opinion, but I have never been a big fan of Jordan Love or anything to do Packers throwing wise. I think Josh Jacobs is the main catalyst of that offense, and they rely on their defense quite a bit. Watson to me isn't as good as Cortland Sutton as an alpha, so to speak. I view the Packers and the Broncos in a very similar light, just because I am a Broncos fan. They rely on their defenses quite a bit. They're very similar styles, but the Broncos throw the ball a lot more and have a better quarterback than the Packers do, in my opinion. So it's tough for me to trust Christian Watson. And plus, the Packers have a lot of weapons. And, the Broncos, you could say they have a lot of weapons, but I don't think they have a lot of consistent weapons, if that makes sense. So it's tough for me to come out here and say, that's going to be the case. So this is a tough spot because I hate this spot. I think I'm just going to do this right here. Go Jalen. This is a very unprecedented team for me. I'm not an Alec Pierce guy whatsoever. And I will talk Jacoby Myers off until the sun falls off. I am taking Jacoby Myers over any of these guys any day of the week. I think Jacoby Myers is miserably mispriced. I think, honest to God, I do think Jacoby Myers is terribly mispriced. I think he should be up here with these guys, if not higher. I think, honestly, he should probably be in this tier of receivers, not down in the 80s. I just think that is extremely mispriced. I definitely don't think he's in the price of Ricky Pearsall. I don't even know why Ricky Pearsall is in the price range he is. I genuinely don't get it. I will never understand the Ricky Pearsall hype. I've never bought in the Ricky Pearsall hype. Whether it be him getting shot or, whatever you want to say, I've never been a Ricky Pearsall fan, even coming out of college. I thought he was the worst first round pick there was in that draft. I was really surprised to see him go in the first round. I hope he proves me wrong, but I don't see it with him at all. And, I think realistically speaking, and I know this is going to sound insane, but a receiver room of Waddle, Myers, and Michael Pittman, to me, obviously it's not Puka, Neighbors, Collins, but would you rather have Scatabo, Warren, Nico, Neighbors, Puka, or Bijan, Jacobs, Walker, Travion, Waddle, Myers, Pittman? I feel like Pittman, Waddle, and Myers can make up the difference of what these running backs produce. I don't know that Scatabo is even Scatabo at pick 45 is early. I feel like there's a lot of mispriced running backs right now. I think that's just the name of the game right now, is getting RBs early and just hammering receivers later. And the tight ends are extremely, extremely mispriced. As far as the cheap guys, Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Likely, David Njoku, Terrence Ferguson, just to name a few, Gunnar Helm, all these guys, I feel like should be going closer to where Sadiq is than where Dalton Schultz is. That's just my opinion. I think they're extremely, extremely low valued. And I could understand it because they had bad years last year. But really, Kelce didn't even have a bad season last year, honestly. He's only this cheap because he has not declared he's going to officially play yet. And I will buy him at this price as a tight end one every single day of the week. And you know what? If I fall on my face, that's fine. Same with David Njoku. He's going to be leaving Cleveland. Isaiah Likely's probably going to be leaving Baltimore. Like there's a lot of open tight end spots. I feel like that those guys can go thrive in and be good and be solid weapons. I mean, Denver's just one example. Evan Ingram did not pan out whatsoever. I think Kenyon Sadiq is probably going to be our guy just because of timeline purpose. I think he fits what we do. But a guy like David Njoku on the Broncos would be extremely fun, in my opinion. And I did take naked Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a really decent quarterback to take naked. Good rushing upside. And again, I'm going to go right back to the well. I don't love that I'm doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I really, really like Xavier Worthy, and I think he's got a lot of upside to him. I'm also going to take he's not available. I'm not gonna go DJ Moore. I'm probably gonna go. Yeah, I'm actually gonna go DJ Moore. DJ Moore is a really boring pick, and honestly, boring picks sometimes are the best picks, especially in a receiver room like this, where you probably are gonna need those kinds of guys that are just, boring floor kind of guys that have some upside. I still think DJ Moore is very involved with the Bears. Obviously Colston Loveland looks like to be the primary weapon there. But that's okay. I think you could still take DJ Moore at this price with that assumption in mind, because the offense as a whole is just better than what it was. And Ben Johnson's proved that. I think Caleb Williams has proven that he's going to make the offense better. And I think Ben Johnson also as a whole makes that offense better and elevates that offense. So that's kind of why I think DJ Moore is not a terrible pick, especially at price right now. I don't think he's going to get much cheaper. I don't think he's going to get much more expensive. I kind of think he's just going to kind of stay where he is. I think he's priced fairly. I think we could see Worthy's price start to rise as more news comes out with Rashee Rice. I think that's one to watch. But yeah, so far, I mean, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Travion Henderson, Jalen Waddle, Jalen Hurts, Jacoby Myers, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore. I like the start so far. And I think with an advanced 4, you can take a little bit more risk with that being the case. Because, I think, starting this way is a little bit risky. I think you could have probably went Waddle and Sutton and just double tapped it here. And I might be feeling a little bit better about the receiver room. But, it's an advanced 4. You get a really strong running back room out of this. I mean, your receivers hit too. If you can get these guys to have some, 1,000-yard seasons. I'm not saying Worthy's going to have a 1,000-yard season, because I don't think that's even in his realm of outcome. But if it is, toodles to me. I have Worthy for the spike week potential, because realistically speaking, in my experience of drafting these, right, you got to have some guys that are 1,000-yard receivers and can get you there throughout the season. But you also got to have the guys in weeks 15, 16, and 17 that drop 20 to 30 points a week. And, that's 60 fantasy points of your 200, or something like that. And Worthy's one of those guys that I feel like can do that. So maybe it's not a popular opinion, but it is an opinion. I'm going to go back to the board, though. I wish that we could see the full builds here, but this guy's taken 3 quarterbacks. I don't love that. Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, Trevor Lawrence. Make it a 4th. Interesting. 4 quarterbacks. I don't love that, but take it for what it is. Jared Goff, Drake May. This guy's taken 3 with Josh Allen. I don't love that. Lamar, Jackson Dart, Jaden Daniels. Other than the Pearsall pick, I like this guy's team a lot. Loveland, Kincaid, Caleb Williams paired with nobody. So he has naked Caleb, which is interesting. Oh, wait, no, he has Loveland. Okay, Caleb Loveland. Yeah, the 4 quarterback thing, I don't necessarily understand. Mahomes, I got to watch out for him because he's probably going to try to draft Kelsey later. I really, 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 really like Kittle. I'm a big Kittle guy, but I'm not going to be taking him here just because I think I can wait a little bit longer and my receiver room needs a little bit of upside swings. I am going to go Matthew Golden here, get a little bit of upside, and I am going to go ahead and take a quarterback here, I believe, and go ahead and take Mendoza because I can get a little bit of Trey Tucker later, or we could go Darnold. I'm going to go Darnold, actually. Darnold's a really boring pick again, but like you already have your upside swing at quarterback with Jalen Hurts. I'm fine with that. Got a little bit of Green Bay going on. I do think their offense is good. I just like I said, I think getting Matthew Golden at pick 120 is a lot better value wise than taking Christian Watson at pick 55 or 60 or whatever it was. So that's my general opinion on that. I'm just not a huge fan of Christian Watson at that price. I think it's a little bit too much for my liking. So personally, I think I would prefer the running backs here. So maybe, just a lesson learned here. If, Travion's sitting here, Waddle, I think you could have reached for your guy here with Sutton. I would have taken Sutton over all these guys and maybe done like Sutton Waddle at the turn here. I think that's probably the lesson learned because this range here is just not good. I think Sutton's kind of like a cutoff or Mike Evans, one of those two guys. Even Brian Thomas. I like Brian Thomas. I like these three guys over everybody that got picked here. So, I think you could push one of these three up to here with Waddle and then, take a guy like Trey Benson right here and then wait a little bit longer on quarterback. But even that lesson there, 5 quarterbacks, by the way. Don't know what this guy's doing. He had a decent start. Don't know what he's doing right now, honestly. 5 quarterbacks. Maybe waiting was not going to be in my deck of cards because oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. Interesting room nonetheless. Don't really understand the 5 quarterback appeal, but it is what it is. I don't love it, but hey, you only can do so much. You can only do so much sometimes. Auto drafting limit set. Yeah, maybe. Could be. Very well could be. Auto drafting a $100 entry tournament to me is absolutely bonkers. Emmett Johnson though, I do like him. I'm going to refresh this real quick. Yeah, that to me is just unfortunate. Maybe he didn't know it was starting. I don't know. This is horrible. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, we have one guy that this team is just horrible. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. This team is horrible. Like Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, I don't know what this guy's plan is going to be when he sees it, but take it for what it is, I guess. Move on. I'm hoping I can get one guy in particular here. I'm not going to say who. I think I'll be able to because everybody here has 2 tight ends, but you never know. Damn, I was going to take Tyreek. That sucks. Does Rashid Shaheed even become a receiver for this team? I don't know. It's nasty, dude. It is so nasty. And I'm going to do it because I don't think I'm going to get him on the flip. There's no way I get him on the flip. I'm going to get Shaheed here. And I'm also going to probably take Brenton Strange. I really want Kelsey, though. No, I'm going to take Kelsey. I'm going to be that guy. I'm pushing Kelsey up the board. I am that guy. I don't care. I am 110% that guy. I'm buying the Kelsey hype. And I'm buying this Kansas City offense being better this year. I don't see it not happening. Shaheed to me is an interesting one because I do see the upside and I see the appeal with him. It's just I don't know that he's worth this price necessarily, but he did have very limited time to learn the playbook and kind of get involved with the offense. And stacking with Darnold, I think it's interesting. I don't think it's something that's like I think it's something that you could rely on for boom weeks, boom potential every few weeks. But you got a lot of upside swings here at receiver, which is kind of what you want in this circumstance. Um, when considering when your receiver one is Jalen Waddle, you're going to need some upside swings. You're going to need some of those kind of guys. Maybe Ayuk would have been a better upside swing. I don't know, but I don't know what my thoughts are with Ayuk because I don't know how to feel about him either. Because we've seen him perform in past, but he hasn't been on an NFL field in like 2 years now. It feels like, and it feels like I just continually get burnt by him every single time I look at his name. So I'd rather take Tyreek Hill over him, but after that, it's kind of a lot of question marks start popping in my head. So we got a 2-4-6-1 build so far. 3-3-6 from the guy on the clock. Kyler, Malik Willis, Patrick Mahomes. 3 running backs. That's kind of expected with the running back crew that good. I definitely have the best running back crew in the draft so far. See, this is the team I was kind of watching from the start. Amon-Ra, Bowers, Tet, Adams, Harvey as your RB1, Monungai, Monty, Woody, Dobbins. You're taking a lot of guys that we don't know their futures. It could be good. Dobbins could resign with Denver, and that'd be a really good value. Monty could end up in Denver. That'd be a really good value. Or Monty stays in Detroit, and it's really bad value. Swift gets bought out, and they use Monungai. I really like that pick. Reek still has to have LCL surgery. It's looking very bleak. Yeah, I mean, Tyreek, though, it's just like, how much more do you trust Tyreek than you do Ayuk? I mean, at this point in the game, I don't know how much more I trust Ayuk than Hill. I don't know, man. With Reek, it's just I was seeing Tyreek go in the 160s, 170s, dude. Like at that point, I'm willing to take it. I'm willing to take a swing at Reek like that. Like I do think he went a little early. I'd agree with you there. Like there's a lot of guys here I'd prefer, but I don't know. Travis Hunter's another guy that I understand what they've come out and said about him, but we have to remember this guy was the second overall pick. They traded 2 first rounds to get him, and one of them was a top 5 pick, if I recall correctly. So it's like they traded a lot to get Travis Hunter. And I just feel like if you give up that much, you have a plan to play him both sides of the ball, regardless of what they come out and say. I just am not buying the fact that they're going to be playing him on defense 90% of the time. And I understand Parker Washington was better than they expected, but like, is Parker Washington really going to be a guy by the end of the year? I'm not buying that theory, so to speak. I really, 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 really hope I get Isaiah Likely on this team because this is a really fun team. If I can get a guy like Likely on it, this is going to be a really fun team. I'm going to go Likely and probably Ridley. I think that's a really fun double tap here if I can get it, which I do. So that's amazing for me. I like Omar Cooper. I think Omar Cooper has a lot of potential. I just think Ridley's the wide receiver 1 on this Tennessee team, and potentially he could be a buyout and go somewhere else. For all I know. So, if Ridley ends up going somewhere else, that'd probably be even better for his circumstance. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. It could be about a wash anyway. But I will say I do like the Trey Harris pick. I am a huge Trey Harris advocate. I don't think he got much of a chance last year to show because of how good Keenan Allen was at the beginning of the year. And I think that played a huge part in his role as not getting really much of a shot at all to play much last season. So I think I really like Trey Harris quite a bit. Jonathan Brooks at 173. Jonathan Brooks was a guy I was real high on coming out of school, but now I just don't know what kind of legs he has left. And I know that's crazy, absolutely absurd to say. But I don't see it being a good thing for Jonathan Brooks. Chuba, I like him a lot. Dowdle, we'll see where Rico ends up. I'm not a big advocate for him either. I wouldn't be opposed if Rico came back to Carolina. I think it'd be a good fit back for him. I think him and Chuba were really, really good. I personally just don't believe that Jonathan Brooks can amount to much after all the damage that has been done. But like I said, could be wrong. I'd rather take Tank Bigsby and bank on a Saquon injury, or Brian Robinson and bank on a McCaffrey injury. I personally prefer that over Jonathan Brooks, or even a Marion Hampton injury for Kamani Vidal, because Kamani Vidal last season was very effective, and I think he really came out of his shell as a guy who could be somebody. And there's a lot of free agents on the market right now too that we just don't know where they're going to land or how it's going to look. And we probably won't know that until after the draft either. Like Najee Harris is one that I'm really intrigued to see where he ends up after his injury. I think he's a very intriguing guy. Alvin Kamara is a very intriguing guy to see where he ends up. Breece Hall is another guy. They're saying they're going to franchise tag him. I'm worried that Breece Hall literally might retire. I know that sounds really dumb to say, but he does not want to play there, and he has made that very, very clear. And I just don't understand why you would want to bring a guy back like that. But not my team, so it is what it is. Aaron Rodgers got off the board. Terrence Ferguson. This tight end room stinks, dude. Theo Johnson, Terrence Ferguson. Like, I get it. He's probably like Studley everywhere else. CD, Drake, Bucky, Devontae, Judkins, Marv, Dak, Chuba, Baker, Godwin, Tracy, McMillan. Like, he's good everywhere else. But like, this is a team where you were probably praying you got Travis Kelce, and I took him from you. So that's probably what he was banking on happening, and it just didn't. So I am going to take I don't love the receivers in this range, so I'm glad I already have 7 of them. We're probably going to go TJ Hawkinson, and we're probably going to go Keaton Mitchell or Nick Singleton. Probably going to go Nick Singleton. I would click Joe Mixon typically here, but I've already clicked a lot of Joe Mixon, and I just don't want to keep clicking him. So, see, like our tight end room here, like you have 3 guys that I feel like could potentially be tight end ones. And I feel like you could sit here and like, you don't have to take another tight end, but like if one falls to you, like you're kind of happy that it does. But like Pat Freiermuth, for example, like if you get Pat Freiermuth added to this tight end room, like that's a really solid tight end room. I think you're good with 2 quarterbacks in this team. Do I think you can make a case for taking a Kirk Cousins? Sure. Because you have Bijan. That's really the only case I can make. And I don't even think Kirk's coming back. So like Kirk ends up in Minnesota, let's just say. TJ Hawkinson, perfect. Okay. Another fit for Kirk Cousins would be the Dolphins. Okay, Jalen Waddle. All right, cool. Just looking at the team structure, there's a lot of ways Kirk Cousins could fit this team. I'm not willing to go out on a whim and just, buy it to buy it, but it is what it is. Torrey Horton. I want to talk about Torrey Horton a little bit because this is a guy I really liked. I don't know how involved he's going to be. I think he still might be a better Cooper Cup next year. Um, I don't know. Cooper Cup showed up quite a bit in the Super Bowl, and that kind of hurt my opinion quite a bit on Torrey Horton. Because I really thought Horton was going to take Cup's spot this season, this rookie year, and he definitely showed glimpses for it. And I think the Shaheed bring over didn't help matters either. So I don't know what to think of Torrey Horton. Because I think the Seahawks really, really like Cooper Cup, and they obviously like Jackson Smith and Jigba. They obviously like Shaheed because Shaheed can provide a lot special teams wise too. So I know those three guys got spots and they got packages and stuff. So it's tough for me to feel good about Horton getting any time on the field. So that's kind of how I feel there. I'm hoping I can get Mike Washington and just round out this running back room. If I can go Mike Washington, Pat Freiermuth, and then just take what falls to me in this last pick as best value, then I'm good with that. I'm probably going to take a rookie receiver or something like that and have like a 2-5-9. Mike Washington goes off the board. That kind of sucks. It's not really many running backs here that I love. Not really many tight ends I want to snag either. I'm a big Freiermuth proponent. I could take Cooper Cup. I could. I'm not a big fan of it. I just don't think he has a lot of upside. I think there's a lot of upside in Brashard Smith. He's a very slappy pick, though. I definitely am going to take Freiermuth, though. So I'll let that play out. Malik Washington's interesting. Malachi Fields is interesting. I think we're probably going to go Brashard Smith, though. Just because I do want to grab one more RB there. Do I think it's going to maybe amount to much? No, but, I think that's a decent pick. And now, you got 4 tight ends. I like my tight end room. It's filled out the way I like. You got Kelsey, you got Likely, you got Hawkins, and you got Freiermuth. At this point with this room, you're hoping that you can just get like a 10-point game every week. And you have some upside swings here. You have some guys that are former tight end ones. You have some guys that have the potential to get a couple touchdowns, in each week. So I feel like you have some potential here. Your receiver room, you really want to grab somebody here that you feel can be a valuable weapon. Jack Bash would be one that I feel decent about. Hollywood Brown is another guy that I like to click. I just think he gets picked up and he actually has a role somewhere and could be a decent little receiver. Malik Washington is another guy that I think can be good. Chris Brazzell, Malachi Fields, those guys have been getting a lot of steam. Jeremy Bernard, Chris Bell, like those guys are pretty solid. I think Jeremy Bernard is one of those guys that has a lot of underlying stats that a lot of the stat nerds like. I'm one of those said stat nerds. You're done at RB with 5. I could have been done at RB with 5. I definitely could have been. I probably could have been. I probably could have went one of those guys instead of Brashard Smith. But I think we're good to go Singleton Brashard. I think we're definitely done now. We'll put it that way. And I think the tight end room, we're done there for, obviously. I think maybe you could have went instead of Brashard another receiver and just had a couple more receivers. But I think, honestly, overall, I think we're doing okay. Geno Smith, Deshaun, there's no quarterbacks there worth taking, so I'm not even going to look at them. We'll go through each team here and kind of see what we like, what we don't. A-Rich is a very, 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 very sneaky good pick. I really like that pick a lot. And like I said, Anthony Richardson could be the perfect solution for Minnesota. He's cheap. Kevin O'Connell likes him. He brings the competition to JJ McCarthy that they're trying to get there. In my opinion, he brings a good competition. I think there's a lot of good things to be said about Anthony Richardson going to Minnesota if that does happen. I think we could see Anthony Richardson steamroll all the way up here with Penix and Daniel Jones if he ends up in Minnesota. And JJ McCarthy's price falls off a freaking cliff. Personally, I could see that happening. Mac Jones, oof. There's a lot of backup quarterbacks getting taken. I don't like that either. Kirk Cousins, Shadur Sanders. I do like the Simpson pick just because he is your third quarterback here in a Dart Lamar room. So it's like, I don't know how much he's actually going to bring value-wise to the table, but we'll see. It's very hard for me not to click Rashad Bateman. It's truly difficult not for me to. Derek Carr. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Yeah, okay. We're just yeah, yikes. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Jack Bash or Jeremy Bernard? What do we think, Stars? Who do you like more? Love it for AR, the AR rebirth. Yeah, I definitely Justin Fields, that's a good pick too. There's a lot of quarterbacks getting taken into the last round. None of these guys I will even be I will not be sniffing. We're probably gonna go Jeremy Bernard just for the rookie upside because I like the Jeremy Bernard pick. I'm a big Jeremy Bernard advocate, man. I don't know, man. I just think he's got that something about him. So, and we need the upside. So, Jack Bash, I don't know how much upside he truly has. I guess you could say he has the potential to be the receiver one for the Raiders next year. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but there's potential for it. New coaching staff, they might like him. There's been some buzz. So, but anyway, we build a 2-6-8-4. Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold, Bijan, Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Travion Henderson, Nick Singleton, Brashard Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jacoby Myers, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, Matthew Golden, Rashid Shaheed, Calvin Ridley, Jeremy Bernard, Travis Kelce, Isaiah Likely, TJ Hawkinson, Pat Fryermuth. Pretty solid overall, I'd say. I knew Stars was going to say Besh. I knew he was going to say Besh as soon as I asked the question. And then I was like, I'm a Jeremy Bernard guy. I kind of got to go with my guys there. Could have went Tez Johnson. That would have been an interesting one too. Nobody takes Jake Tunges, which is interesting, or Cade Otton. Cade Otton would have been a nice one. Isaiah Bond. I can't say that I've been taking Bond much, but I do think he is going to get a good part in that offense, and I think it is interesting. He had some spike weeks last year, so it definitely is interesting with Isaiah Bond. That's definitely an interesting click. I don't think I've clicked him yet, but I could see the appeal. But yeah, let's look at the other guys' teams here. I'm kind of curious. I always like to look at the other teams that I'm drafting with here. So here we got a 3-7-7-3, pretty well rounded. You got Drake May, Jared Goff, Justin Fields. I don't know how to feel about Justin Fields because the Jets, they could take Ty Simpson or bring somebody in, but realistically, they paid Justin Fields. So I don't know how likely it is they bring somebody in. But they traded a DN today, and I truly believe that opens them up to taking one of the top defensive ends at the number 2 spot. So I don't think they're going to take Ty Simpson there, obviously, but I do think it's a possibility they could take Ty Simpson, depending on how far he falls. So anyways, we got Gibbs, Chase, Brown, Ramondre, Ja'Cory Karosky, James Conner, Keaton Mitchell, Emmanuel Wilson. Pretty solid RB room. You got Pickens, J-Mo, Luther Burden, Debo, DK, Tesla, Kyle Williams, Sam Laporta, Jake Ferg, and Hunter Henry. He's doing the little Patriots and Lions stacks going on there. A lot of Lions. Amon-Ra goes down. The way this team succeeds is Amon-Ra goes down. You have J-Mo, Tesla, Laporta, and Gibbs. I mean, you have so many. You have a lot of Dallas too. You have Jake. You have George. You have a lot of Patriots with Kyle and Henry and Ramondre. So this guy's kind of buying offenses, which I don't mind that. It's not a bad play, especially if they're high-scoring offenses. 3-6-8-3. Don't think you need 3 quarterbacks here, but Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, especially if you reach on a guy like Joe. If you reach on Burrow, you're saying he's going to be healthy the entire season. And I get it. You wanted to stack with Burrow and Chase, but you're essentially making sure or claiming at this ADP value he's going to stay healthy all year and he's going to be a top 5 quarterback along with Josh Allen. So really, you don't need Justin Herbert there, but is what it is. Breece Hall, Blake Corum, Trey Benson, Braylon Allen, Caleb Johnson, Devin Neal. I have no idea how his running backs are going to compete. That is a hideous running back room. I don't like it at all. I'll be totally transparent. I don't love his receivers either, outside of Jamar. McLaurin, Higgins, Tyreek Hill, Kayshon Boutte, Trey Harris. I do like Trey Harris pick. Keon Coleman, Devon Vele, and then he's got Warren, Gadsden, and Higbee. I don't like that team. I'm not a big fan of that team at all. Moving on to the next team. We got Lamar Jackson, Jackson Dart, Ty Simpson, Cam Scatterbo, Jalen Warren, Jadarian Price, Jonah Coleman, Alvin Kamara, Tajay Spears, Zach Charbonnet at pick 189. That's pretty good value for Charbonnet, I would say. I think that's a fair price for Charbonnet considering the injury, and probably it's going to be tough for him to come back if he does at all. So I think that's a fair price. Puka Nacua, Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Jacoby Lane, and Rashad Bateman with George Kittle, Dallas Goedert, and Dalton Schultz, the tight end spots. I kind of like this team. Not a huge fan of what he ended up with at running back. Just because I'm not a big Scatterbo guy. Warren is okay. Price and Coleman, the rookies. I like Coleman a lot. I think he is the RB2 of the class. It's just hard for me to really see a path to where those guys are valuable in that range. So a little tough for me, but I'm not a big fan of Diggs either next year. I'm just not. I do like his first 3 receivers, obviously. I think that goes without really saying much, but tight end, I like the Kittle pick. Goddard's kind of solid and Schultz is kind of solid until Kittle's back. You hope that they can put up enough points to hold up the tight end position until he gets back. 4-6-8-2. I don't love the 4 quarterback build here with Jaden, just because it is Jaden Daniels. You're taking Jaden Daniels at pick 53. You're taking him ahead of ADP. So you're saying he's going to be better than this ADP that is currently there at 61. So you already think he's going to be better than what that shows. Daniel Jones at 149. He's injured. JJ McCarthy, not a guarantee to start. Mac Jones, not a guarantee to start. Most likely will be a backup. Don't love the Mac Jones pick. I think the Mac Jones pick is just a waste. McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Tyler Algier. I do like that pick. Jordan Mason, Jonathan Brooks. I talked about Jonathan Brooks already. Mike Washington Jr., that guy's getting quite a bit of buzz. We'll see how he does in the combine this weekend. Chris Olave, Emeka Egbuka, not a fan of Ricky Pearsall at all. Had a big discussion about Ricky Pearsall. Michael Pittman, Jaden Reed. Khalil Shakir is a very boring pick. Torrey Horton had a big discussion about him. Seems like we had a lot of discussions about this guy's team. Jalen Knoll, and then you have Harold Fannin and AJ Barner. See, that Mac Jones pick could have been a Cade Otton pick, and I would have liked this team a lot better. Or not even really Jake Tunges, but honestly, Cade Otton. If that was a Cade Otton pick instead of a Mac Jones pick, I would have liked that team a lot better. Moving on to the next team, another 4 quarterback team, Derek Carr. Oh my God, 4-6-7-3. I don't even want to talk about Derek Carr, but I guess I got to now. I know that competitors or competitive teams, are looking into Derek Carr. I guess I don't really know why, but that's the buzz. I personally am not taking Derek Carr until he ends up on the team because I want to know the situation he ends up with. Kirk Cousins is no guarantee to start. Shedeur Sanders, he may start all year. We'll see. Those are 3 last-round picks, so it kind of is what it is. Caleb Williams, you're banking on him being the guy every week, so you better have taken more than just Loveland, which I think he just took Loveland. So Loveland, Kincaid, Strange. I do like the tight end room. Strange fell quite a bit, and I am a big fan of Strange. Darnell Mooney, Zachariah Branch, Romeo Dobbs, Jordan Addison, Michael Wilson, A.J. Brown, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jeremiah Love, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Gainwell, Aaron Jones, and Brian Robinson rounding out that team. I do like that team somewhat. I'm not a fan of the 4 quarterback picks, though, at all. Let's see. Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Quinshon Judkins, Chuba Hubbard, Tyrone Tracy, Rashad White, Jordan James, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Devontae Smith, Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, Brandon Ayuk, Ryan Flournoy, Theo Johnson, Terrence Ferguson, Gunnar Helm, and Mike Gesicki. Like I said, I think the Cade Otton should have been picked over Gesicki, but especially with this team, when you have Baker and Godwin, I mean, I guess you don't want to overfill too many spots there, but it is what it is. Rodgers, Stafford, Tua, Harvey, Monungai, Monty, Woody Marks, J.K. Dobbins, Joe Mixon, Najee Harris. The Dobbins-Harvey thing's interesting to me, and the Marks-Mixon thing is interesting to me because you're getting their handcuffs. So I feel like that's a little bit counterintuitive, but I can understand it. You're saying that their backfields are just going to be good, so I understand it. Omar Cooper, Malachi Fields, Travis Hunter, Parker Washington, DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams, Tataroa McMillan, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brock Bowers, and Mark Andrews. That team, it's all right. It's all right. We only got a few more teams here to look at. I don't even want to look at this team. 3 running backs. Yikes. Yeah, I'm not even going to look at this team. That team's probably going to be in dead last. Let's see here. Patrick Mahomes, Malik Willis, Kyler Murray, Ashton Jennings, Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Sean Tucker, Dylan Sampson. This guy's got a pretty sharp build. 3.593. Lad McConkey, Mekhi Lemon, Mike Evans, Quentin Johnston, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Coker, Jerry Jeudy, Malik Washington, and Chris Bell. Then he's got David Njoku, Mason Taylor, Kobe Parkinson. I like this team. This is a team that this is the type of team I would build. I don't know who this is. Kujahu. I don't know how to say his name. This is the kind of team that I would like to build. I'm not too certain that Malik Willis gets a starting spot. You know, all signs are pointing that way right now, but that can change. So maybe that's the only pick I would change. But other than that, pretty good. Jordan Love, Bryce Young, Cam Ward, Jacoby Brissett. I don't think you need 4 quarterbacks on this team, but again, you know, they're all cheap, so take that for what it is. Marion Hampton, Kyron Williams, Rico Dowdle, Tank Bigsby, Kamani Vidal, Ray Davis. I do like those running backs. Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton, Alec Pierce, Troy Franklin, Xavier Legette, Tucker Kraft, Kenyon Sadiq, and Chig Okonkwo. I think that's a pretty solid team. You get Jordan Love. You're playing it through the pass game. You have Watson. You have Kraft. Probably the 2 best receivers on that team, if I had to guess. The most consistent guys on the team, I should say. And then you have Xavier Legette as your last round selection to pair up with Bryce Young, Cam Ward. You don't have any Tennessee guys except Chig Okonkwo, which Chig Okonkwo is a free agent, so I don't know that he's going to come back because you have Gunnar Helm there. So I don't know that Chig's going to be back, so that could end up not being really a stack at all. Yeah, I mean, overall, I like that team too. Last but not least, we have C.J. Stroud, Michael Penix, Anthony Richardson. Like I said, I really like the Anthony Richardson pick. James Cook, Devon Achane, Bashal Tootin, Katron Allen, and Demond Claiborne. I don't love that RB room outside of the first 2. So Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers, Roma Dunze, Jordan Tyson, Denzel Boston, Jawan Jennings, Casey Concepcion, Trey Tucker, Antonio Williams, Kyle Pitts, Jawan Johnson, Eli Stires. A lot of rookies on this team. Again, not a huge fan of the class, so that makes it a little bit tougher for me. But I think it's a decent draft nonetheless. So yeah, I think we're good on that front. I do only have one more big board left. And oops, not that. The bigger board. I only have one more left, so I'm probably going to wait quite a bit on that until it's close to full. But yeah, we're going to get a big board. If you guys want to join in, make sure y'all get in. We got 4 more people. And we'll start this draft off here in a second and do one more draft for you guys. And make sure that we can get that accomplished. And I want to make sure that I put the timestamp on here at the correct time. So yeah, if you guys want to join in, get in. Oh, man, what a long draft that was. Here's the good news about drafting like 4 tight ends in these contests, because I think there is something to be said about it, right? I think it's very viable to do something like this. I feel like I have a tight end 1 in Kelsey, but, like, even if you don't get a tight end 1 in Kelsey, let's just say, I don't know, Kelsey gets hurt, likely lands somewhere, Hawkinson still, let's just say a quarterback lands in Minnesota, and Hawkinson, all of a sudden shoots up in price. All the Vikings pieces would move up at that point. Fryermuth still is probably going to be the guy because Johnny's leaving. I think it's a very good team. I still think my favorite team that I've built so far is probably this team right here that has Achane, James Cook at the start, and Etienne. I like to do that. I think 3 is plenty. 4 was a little bit overkill, but we ended up with like AJ Brown, Brian Thomas, Wandale, and you ended up with Kelsey at pick 155, Hawkinson at 182, like, and Kyle Pitts. Like that kind of a tight end room to me is just as good as the one that I just drafted. So Jackson Dart, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Marlon Hinton, Kenneth Walker, Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, like getting JSN at pick 5 here and then drafting these guys 20, 29, 44, 53, like getting guys like this, like 4 of those guys, getting only 5, that's probably what I should have done. But, for that team that I just drafted, I only got 2 tight ends, Fannin and Kittle, but they both have extreme upside. There's a lot of things there that can be said with that. Need 2 more for the big board, and then we can get going on this draft. Oh, man. Hope you guys are having a good Thursday afternoon. It is almost Friday. It is almost Friday, which is a very, very good thing in my case, because this weekend I am going to get a suit and kind of get ready for the wedding. For those that don't know, I did get engaged a couple years ago now, I guess it would be. So I am getting married in May, so it's coming up fast. Bachelor weekend is next weekend. Very excited about that as well. If you're in the Cincinnati area, you can see me. So I will be in the Cincinnati area come next weekend. So yeah, if you wanna see PrimeTimeKG, that is where I'll be, in Cincinnati, Ohio. So we have the 5 spot. We have Nels 555. I don't even know how to say that. Cade Calander off the Schneed. LOL Simo, unluckily, Jacob. I don't know how to say that at all. Leomini Chilio, I don't know. JDMRE, Top Dog, and Cop I don't know. I don't know how to say that either. But we have the number 5 pick. Most likely this is a JSN pick. I will say it's been a few weeks since I've done a big board. The only thing that sucks now is I can't get an Amarion Hampton with JSN now because of the ADPs. People have pushed Amarion Hampton up way too high, and now I can't get my JSN combo with him. So that kind of sucks. It is what it is, though. Because I was smacking JSN and Amarion Hampton when I could. Now you really can't do that because the cookie does not crumble that way anymore, unfortunately. So you take it for what it is and you go with it. CeeDee Lamb at 108. I will say, who do you guys think is most likely to fall out of the first round? And I have a very bold opinion about this, and it could be bold. It could be viewed as bold. I think. But obviously these guys at the tail end, most people are probably going to say them. I think the most likely out of the top 8 that falls out is CD. I could see CD Lamb not being a first round pick as of the end of next year. Like, I think he's one of those guys that if George Pickens does it again, it's going to be really, really, really difficult to trust CD Lamb to be that 1,600, 1,500 yard guy ever again. If he's to see that in the range of outcomes, I should say. It'd be tough to see that in your range of outcomes for that. H-Chan at pick 112 is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. H-Chan Jefferson, that's exactly what I would have done. Let me show the board so you guys can have the board view. I'm sure you guys prefer that. Amarian Hampton off the board. Like I said, used to, Amarian Hampton would fall all the way back to me at 20. I miss those days. Because now it just doesn't happen. People have pushed running backs up so high that it just never happens anymore. Jeremiah Love off the board of pick 17. You got a Monron, Drake London. If you guys are new here, make sure y'all leave a like as well. That'd be greatly appreciated. And subscribe, as we are going to be streaming drafts more and more. Malik Neighbors is still sitting here. I struggle not to click him at pick 20. That's a pretty good discount there, honestly. We get JSN and Malik Neighbors. That is something. Oof, I love that for me. I almost clicked Saquon, but I decided not to. There's a chance, obviously, as it says there in that report, that Neighbors misses and gets put on the pup list. That's probably why he's dropping, which I get it. But a guy like him, I'm willing to take that bet because I have JSN. So if I have a guy that can hold it down, it is what it is. He'll come back and he'll shine throughout the rest of the year. That's how I feel about it. Chris Olave off the board. Jamar and Saquon. That's a really fun start. Probably a very unique start, too. Honestly. Ted Aroa McMillan at pick 27. And this is where you go Breece Hall and just say, I'm going as much upside as possible. If I were this guy, anyway. Because Jacobs is not very much upside, but he was Ken Walker. Still gonna go Josh Jacobs. I can't stop clicking Josh Jacobs. It's hard not to. Kyron Williams over Breece Hall. That to me feels bold. If I were him, I'd take Breece Hall. T. Higgins over Breece Hall is super bold. If this team gets Breece Hall, they're in the driver's seat. They're in a really good spot. Who ends up taking Breece? Okay. CeeDee Lamb, Jeremiah Love, Breece Hall. I like that start. Here's my problem with the quarterbacks early. Thing. They help you advance. They help your advance rates, I think. That's my opinion. They definitely help the advance rates. But do they really help in weeks 15, 16, and 17? Because my answer is no. I don't think they do. People are really starting to buzz up Omar Cooper. But I can understand it. I mean, I think Omar Cooper is a very good prospect. I just don't know how much better he is than Surratt, like people keep saying. Javonte Williams at pick 40. Javonte's getting steamed up boards. I don't know how to feel about that either, because I don't know that he's. I mean, I get how good of a year he had last year, and I get what was keeping him down, but like I don't see that being really a good case to keep him or make him rise that high. Adams at pick 143 or 44 or Travion. I'm going to go Travion, I think, here. I'm not a big Adams guy. I'm just not. Devontae Smith, Colston Loveland. See, now we're getting a little bit out of hand with Devontae Adams. Pick 47. Yeah, I think if the Bijan team gets him, that'd be fire for the Bijan team. Even this team, like the Gibbs, the Gibbs team getting him is pretty nice. Without having to reach, we'll put it that way. Because you got Bowers at a value. He has Adams, Olave. That's a pretty solid start, in my opinion. Jacobs, Travion, Jackson Smith, and Jigma, Malik Neighbors. I like this start so far. Where did Makai? Okay, there is Makai Lemon. I was like, where did he go? I thought he'd already gone off the board. I was like, geez. We're hoping that we get a Lamar Faller here, is kind of the hope. I doubt we get it, but you never know. Yeah, I didn't think we'd get it, but you never know. Probably gonna go Waddle again. I'm the idiot that keeps drafting Waddle. I don't know. I really like pushing Brian Thomas up here. He's one of my favorite people to push up. Harvey at 51. I'm just not a fan. I'm gonna go Brian Thomas. And the only reason I'm gonna go Brian Thomas is because I really, 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 really like him. Like that's one of my favorite clicks this year in the 5th round is him. I don't see any reason why he's this cheap. I know his year last year was pretty freaking bad. At the very worst scenario, he's like I mean, let's be real. Alec Pierce last season, 1,003 yards, like, and he's going in the 80s. I think that's just, I just think that's ridiculous in my opinion. I really, really, really like Brian Thomas. I think his upside's there. And I do think, 1,100 yard season is definitely in his realm of outcomes, especially next year. The offense is so much more improved. The roles are a lot more defined. Even if they don't really utilize Brian Thomas like they should, I think he's a very good trade chip for them where they can get somebody in a different position that they need. Maybe defense or O-line or not really quarterback, running back, anything like that. They don't really need that. Maybe if Bashal Tutin doesn't pan out and, they let Etienne walk, that'd be a way where Brian Thomas, maybe you could get a running back and some firsts on top or something, or seconds or something like that. I think Brian Thomas is way too talented to be going as cheap as he is. So, like, if I have Brian Thomas or Makai Lemon, I'm taking Brian Thomas. Like, if I have Brian Thomas or Jordan Tyson, I'm taking Brian Thomas. If I have Luther Burden or Brian Thomas, I'm taking Brian Thomas. It's just, I am that high on Brian Thomas. I think it's silly how cheap he is, personally. Dang, I was really hoping I was going to get Cortland Sutton. Instead, I'm going to have to smack another guy that I think is going way too cheap, and that's Marvin Harrison. I'm going to have a lot of Brian Thomas and Marvin Harrison at this price. I'm just going to be honest. I think they're extremely cheap, and I think they're way too cheap. And I like them way too much for them being this price. Marvin Harrison or Jordan Tyson. I'm taking Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison over Rome Odunze, probably Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison or Ricky Pearsall, 100% Marvin Harrison, by the way. There's not even a question in my mind. Ricky Pearsall at pick 63 is probably the worst pick on the board. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, I just think he's the worst pick there is. I think he's probably my least valued player at that. Like, the place I would be taking Ricky Pearsall is unspeakably low. Like, it would be in this range of taking Ricky Pearsall. Like, Debo or Ricky Pearsall, that's kind of where I start drawing my comparisons. And it's crazy that I think that lowly of him. It's just, I don't think Ricky Pearsall is a good player. I never have, and I don't think that will ever change, to be honest with you. Let's see. Herbert, Dart, Lawrence. Probably gonna go T-Law just to stack him up with BTJ. Because BTJ is gonna be good. T-Law is gonna be good. So we're gonna ride that wave out. Actually, we're gonna do something I don't normally do. And we're gonna go Harold Fannin. I don't love Fannin where he's getting drafted at. I think he's a little bit too much, but I'm gonna do something a little different than I normally would. Normally, I would smack a quarterback there, and I'd be walking away all jolly and happy because I have Trevor Lawrence again for like the 20 millionth time. But I'm not gonna walk away with Trevor Lawrence this time. We'll pull the board up so you guys can kind of follow along here. Alec Pierce at the turn. But yeah, normally I would smack Trevor Lawrence at that position. So, yeah, I am not going to do that this time. I am going to continue moving forward without a quarterback. Again, if you guys are new here, please make sure y'all smack the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. As the season ramps up, I'll probably be doing more drafts. But until the season ramps up, we're kind of in the slow period right now, where I don't really do a whole lot of drafting. So Sam Laporta off the board. I'm also not a big Michael Wilson advocate either. Again, I feel like Marvin Harrison and Brian Thomas are guys that we're valuing too low for what their profiles were coming out, and we should not be valuing them as low as we are. And maybe that's troll. I could be, I mean, as broad as it is long at this point, but I think those guys are very, very, very good pieces. Not a big Corum guy at this price. I think I'm gonna go Xavier Worthy again. And like I said in the previous draft, I think Worthy has a lot of upside, a lot of spike potential, and that's the reason why I click him. I do think, spike wise, DJ Moore doesn't really have that. Diggs doesn't really have that to me. Addison does. Addison and Worthy are two guys I really like to click there. So, yeah. This next pick is probably going to be my quarterback. It's probably going to be Bo Nix. I'm just being honest. It's probably going to be Bo Nix. I really want to take Algier, though. No, I'm going to go Bo Nix. Algier's off the board anyway. So, couldn't have gone with him anyway. Take ourselves a little bit of Bo Nix. So we got Bo Nix, Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison, Xavier Worthy, Harold Fannin. We need to start building up the other positions and not named receiver. Running back, quarterback, tight end. Preferably quarterback, running back these next few rounds. Just to build that up. At least that's my personal opinion. Because you're going to need them. Tight end, you can wait. You've already put in the capital of Fannin, so you still need 3. But I think Fannin is I think you bought in at Fannin expensive enough to where you can wait. And if Kelsey doesn't fall on this team, so be it. Stafford at 107, Wandale at 108. Takes naked Stafford, which is definitely interesting. I'm surprised the Devontae Adams team did not take him over here. I'm kind of surprised at 95. Because he takes Mahomes naked, which is interesting. I know exactly where I'm going to go next, but Baker off the board. It's really who I wanted was Baker Mayfield there. We're going to reach a little bit on Darnold and go Darnold. So we have Darnold stacked with JSN. Nix is naked right now. Kittle. I don't really want to go Kittle route. I think one of these free agent tight ends could be interesting. I think Sadiq is interesting later. If you go that route. I don't love the running backs here, but of the running backs here, Ja'Cory Krosky is probably the most interesting one to me. Shuck off the board. Is this Olave's team? Yeah. So you go Shuck Olave. That's not shocking. I'm sure that will happen a lot as we go along here in draft season. Shuck may get a little bit more expensive because of that. And he goes with a third quarterback in Mendoza. I can understand it, though, because we're running out of quarterback options. So I can kind of get it, but I'm not really on board with it by any stretch of the imagination. Probably going to go Ja'Cory Krosky. I think that they're more likely to draft a running back or not draft a running back. I don't know. Woody is it. I feel like Woody's is just. I don't feel like it's a guarantee that Woody Marks is the guy there. Just with Mixon still being on the roster, it's just I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that a situation at all. I'm gonna kind of queue up some guys here. And I don't really care if anybody sees my queue. All right. I want to make sure I get some guys queued up that I like. Dobbs off the board. Let's go ahead and get the board back up here. I have a little bit of a runny nose going on. Romeo Dobbs is going to be an interesting one to see where he lands because I do like him a lot. And I think he's been a really good weapon for Green Bay for a lot of years now, feels like. And he's still pretty relatively young. Kyler Murray off the board. I was really hoping to get Kyler on this team. Oh, well, it is what it is. Take it for what it is. Sadiq goes. Darn it. I really was hoping for Sadiq to pair up with Bo Nix, but oh well, it is what it is. J.K. Dobbins off the board. I will happily take Casey Concepcion if he falls. I think that's a really, 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 really good pick at this price. I don't think he's going to fall to me, though. But if he does, I'm going to take him at that value. Okay. Yeah. I didn't think he was going to fall, but if only he had. Bryce Young. We're probably going to take Cam Ward because this guy has no quarterback, and I don't want to risk the chance of me getting boxed out of a third quarterback here that I like. So we're probably going to go Cam Ward. Yeah. And that'll be the last quarterback I take. So I don't need any more of those. Kelsey, next pick, maybe. I think Kelsey's probably our next pick. And then we really start hammering running back because we're going to have to play catch up there. So I think at receiver, you're good for now, still. I don't know. What's the teams behind me look like at tight end? 2, still not a single tight end. McBride, Warren Ferg, Sadiq, nobody else. Strange, nobody. Yeah. You probably are going to want to take Kelsey because there's still running backs that are fine that I'd live with. There's not really another tight end that I want to quote unquote live with, so to speak. See what happens. Just okay. All right. So we get Kelsey. I'm good with that. Now we could really start bearing down and getting running back built out. Because those three guys, I like the three guys that I have. It's just I don't have a lot behind them. So the 5 receivers I have there are really, really good. I feel good about them. JSN, Neighbors, Thomas, Marv, and Worthy. I like those guys a lot. A lot of spike week potential, a lot of alphas there, in my opinion. Fannin and Kelsey, those 2 guys at tight end alone should be good. Nix, Darnold, and Ward, between the 3 of those guys, should find a QB1 spot somehow. I think Ward has a lot of potential to be better. I also think Darnold is pretty good for the most part. I think he's got a lot of potential to even improve upon last year. Like last year was the first year in that system. Like I feel good about Darnold being better than he was last year even. So okay, let's see. You could take a 6th receiver and be done at receiver if they fall. If you get a guy like, I even like Travis Hunter at this point. Like I said, I know what they said about Travis, but I'm not buying it, honestly. At 150, I'm good with paying that. Travis Hunter goes off the board. It is what it is. This is a Sean Tucker or Aaron Jones. This is an Aaron Jones draft if I've ever seen one. Just being honest. The old man RB room. Oh, Aaron Jones is off the board. That's unfortunate. Let's go. Braylon Allen's probably cooked. We'll go Sean Tucker because they like to use 2 guys for some reason. Even though Rachaad White's probably gone from that team, if I had to take a guess. So next pick will probably be Njoku just to finish the tight end room. Charbonnet at pick 165. That's early. I feel like that's early for a guy who may not even play next year. J.J. McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers. Again, I don't really need a quarterback, so I'm not too worried about those guys going off the board. Katron Allen, Omar Cooper. I'm good with Kamani Vidal. I actually kind of like that pick a little bit more than David Njoku, just for the reasoning of I already have 2 tight ends I like. So getting a guy like Kamani Vidal to add to the RB room, I think, is a better pick for this team. I think I like David Njoku a little bit better, like as a player, but I think Kamani Vidal is a better fit for the team. So we're going to go with it. I almost think the big board drafters are sharper than the bigger board drafters, which is crazy to say, honestly. Because the bigger board, there's some guys in there. I mean, there was one guy literally auto drafting and had 5 quarterbacks and 3 running backs. Like, that's just so gross. I put the I didn't put the timestamp. I'm such an idiot. I think it was like, what time is it? Hour 46. I think it was like an hour 15 or something. Somewhere in that area. I'm gonna hope it was close to that of when this draft started. Say likely's off the board. I know who I'm going to go with next here, and it's probably not going to be a very popular pick. Candidate to be let go. That's fire. Because if he does get let go, guess what? There's definitely going to be a team that signs Joe Mixon, and I'm going to be happy when that happens. Because it's definitely going to happen. I just don't know what team it's going to be. But if it's a contender, wink, wink, Chiefs, wink, wink, they could maybe get Joe Mixon cheap. So sorry, I did not mean to totally just go out on a whim there and say that, but take that for what it is. I'm definitely gonna take Gunnar Helm or Manor here. Probably Helm if I can. Makes a lot of sense to go Gunnar Helm as a third tight end. Can't get Gunnar Helm, then we'll just take Terrence Ferguson and call it a day. Gunnar Helm it is. All right. So we've got Fannin, Kelsey, Helm. We have Ward paired up with Helm, JSN and Sam Darnold paired up. Naked Knicks. We could go Mims. I'd be cool with getting Mims on this team. I'd also be good with Chris Brazzell. Manor probably won't fall, so I just as well take him off my list of guys. Let's see who else. I really like the suggestion with Isaiah Bond. I think that's probably about where I'm going to go as far as the difference in guys here. Mike Washington is another guy. I think that's a lot of the teams I'm probably going to want, or a lot of the guys I'm probably going to want, so to speak. I think your receiver room is really good. I think your running back room's fine. I think you got good running backs, good enough running backs anyway. I think you could probably just do one more running back tap, which is going to be Mike Washington, and then just tap receivers for the rest of the draft. Call it a day. I think that's probably what we're going to do. probably smack Mike Washington, and then just smack receiver for the rest of the draft. It's probably what's going to happen here. Because I think Mike Washington's like the last guy I'd want at running back. So I think the rest now we can just go to receiver and very solely focus here on the last 3 receivers. Last 2 or however many it is. I think it's 2. Yeah, 2 receivers. I have a 3-7-7-3 build. Which, in my opinion, is a pretty stout build. I like these builds quite a bit. They work. They work well. They do well. Devon Vele, that's a guy I really like to click to. He's a hard one for me to pass sometimes because I just think his value is really good for a guy who could be the wide receiver 2 on a very much so improved quarterback with Tyler Shuck and a much improved offense. I just think it's a very solid pick. I'm sorry that you thought me. Change my mind up like it's origami. All right, we get Mims. I'm good with Mims. I mean, it's not a glamorous pick by any means, but pick 221, I'm okay with that. You get a little Bo Nix, Marvin Mims action. I don't think you can complain much. So we have Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, Cam Ward, Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson, Ja'Cory Krosky, Sean Tucker, Kamani Vidal, Joe Mixon, Mike Washington Jr., Jackson Smith and Jigba Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison, Xavier Worthy, Marvin Mims Jr., Harold Fannin, Travis Kelce, and Gunnar Helm rounding out the team. We got one more pick left. Hopefully we can get somebody, one of these 4 guys that are queued up. We'll see. But once we make this last pick, that is probably going to conclude the stream for me today. I appreciate you guys hanging out and offering your guys' feedback. Really appreciate it. And if you guys enjoy the content, as I've said previously, make sure y'all like, subscribe. There's more to come as the season starts to ramp up. Like I said, we'll see who looks to gain value, who looks to lose value as far as the combine goes. I'm sure the boards will look pretty different come Sunday, maybe Monday. So, we'll see. But I think that it makes a lot of sense to get in drafts a little bit before the combine here and see what happens. Because once the combine stuff comes out, there's going to be guys that rise, and there's definitely going to be guys that fall because of the combine. So be prepared for that. You're either going to look like a complete idiot or you're going to look like you committed robbery. So it's not probably going to be anywhere in between. Some of these guys aren't even going to the combine. So Mendoza, for example, I know he's not throwing at the combine. So that could definitely be one that just stays the same as he has now currently. We're going to take Isaiah Bond just because I like to call out. So, but yeah, Isaiah Bond is a guy that could be really good. So we'll see. But anyway, Mendoza could be good. Ty Simpson's going to be at the combine. So, Ty Simpson's price could rise depending on how he performs at the combine. There's quite a bit of guys that are going to be at the combine. So there's a decent amount of guys that won't be either. So it's like that every year. So be prepared for it. But yeah, hope you guys have a blessed Thursday. This is the team. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, please make sure y'all give it a like and subscribe. And I will catch you in the next one. Until next time, I'm off here. Peace out.